Would you like to be safer and less stressed while driving and earn more at the same time? The Driver's Utility Helper app allows you to do just that. Create custom filters and its automated system does the work for you, automatically declining unwanted low-paying requests and accepting more profitable requests so you can focus on driving. Visit acceptordecline.com to get started today.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the gig economy, rideshare, rodeo, delivery, roundtable with all kinds of good people. And I don't have my notes tonight because I'm looking from the email because I don't know what happened. I thought I made the notes, and so I'm missing my intro notes and everything. So I'll just do this on the fly. I know it by heart. I got that right. Look at that. Maybe without my notes, I'm better. Kim's Side Money Plans. that way of Kim. On the other side is John Dash Theory TV. And beneath me is Cheyenne, who is Gig Work Mama.
Hello.
And then on the far other corner, that's the only one I missed, is Tony the Driven Dad.
Whoa.
Whoa. Look at you being all fancy.
Lasers. I work with lasers. I liked that. So that was good.
I love it.
You guys, we got some topics here tonight for sure. We got the DoorDash stuff going on tonight. We got two different things going on with DoorDash. One of which is the order volume is down. The other one is regarding this announcement they made yesterday. We have the UN, the United Nations, recognizing issues in the gig economy. We have 3 problems with teenage rideshare, with Uber Teen, and with Lyft in the past 5 days. And we got a couple other stories at the end too that Cheyenne and Tony are bringing in for us. So we got a lot for you. We're going to see if we can pack this all into the hour to hour 15. That is our target, you guys. So let me see. We'll welcome everybody in the chat maybe here in a minute because I don't know how many people are in here yet, but I'll say hi to who's here. But what's up, DJ and Tricks? And what's up, Thomas Mathis? Still no email. No Christmas for Max. Dude, it's the easiest thing. Steve at ridesharerodeo.com.
Oh, did you see the next one? He'll be emailing you after his shift.
Oh, okay. So some Christmas for Max.
He can get a pair
Not
of
as much,
socks.
but I mean,
The only pair of socks he's getting is from Para.
yeah, I know.
That sounds like a thing.
No, that's what I can't remember who it was that said that's what they want. Maybe it was Jimmy from Para. He's like,
It was. I was
Who was
telling
it?
them that at the first gig con. I was like,
oh,
"Y'all
that's
need
what
to
it was.
make some
Okay, so yeah, because we were
Para
talking
socks.
about apparel, which has been we just haven't gotten on it with Para, and I guess it was Tony that recommended it, and we were trying to come up with like, should we do a collared shirt? Should we do a hat? Which one? And Tony's just like, do socks, do Para socks. So it says PA and RA on the other one.
They need to do para catering bags.
The problem is with Para socks is that you lose one all the time.
Well, you'll know which one was lost if it's
And if
really
you
the
lose
left
one,
sock
or if you put
not.
them on backwards, it'll say Rappa.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird. Just sad.
It's that's just backwards day.
What's up, Chris Taylor? How are you? And what's up, everybody else? Please join in throughout the night. But let's start off with this DoorDash ridiculousness. We won't start off with the order volume. We will talk about that after we talk about a few things. But I think John's going to lead us here on this DoorDash no tip equals cold food.
Yeah, so it was interesting because I saw this blurb. I think it was like from the daily, one of those daily internet articles, Daily Dot. There we go. And then I got a text from a friend who actually asked me about it. So it was interesting that it seems like a lot of people have already heard about this. But the nutshell of it is that DoorDash is adding a screen to people who custom change the tip to 0 and to try to submit it and saying, hey, this is people, if you don't tip, the dashers can choose not to take your order. You're going to wait longer for your food. You're going to get cold food. Are you sure you want to do that? And if they hit yes, then it's up to them. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it's good because it's going back to encouraging tipping, and it's kind of putting a barrier between the zero tipping. It's making it, you know, less. You know, people can't say they made a mistake like you've seen some people do, and some even traders' videos. And so I think that's interesting. I think it's overall better for dashers, better for drivers, because I think it's tipping is I think a big part of what we do.
Oh, it absolutely. I mean, I compare it to the service industry. I mean, if look, nobody would be a server if you didn't make tips. Nobody would be a bartender if you didn't make tips. Maybe in like Europe, or I'm not even sure fully if we've discussed tipping culture in depth in Canada, but maybe even there, maybe the bartenders get paid better. Like if you're not familiar, Cheyenne, like here, because I did it for many years, like a bartender when I was doing it in the early 2000s. Here in Colorado, a bartender makes made $2.13 an hour. So you don't make minimum wage. You make what's called tip minimum wage.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if you make enough tips, you actually will see that you'll get a paycheck that says you worked 80 hours, but the paycheck could be for $0.
Yeah. A lot of people here, it's the same way. They don't get paid the minimum wage. They get paid under that because they assume that people are going to tip. Yeah.
So you guys have a good tipping culture too, because when we talk to people in Europe, they really don't have it.
Yeah. Can I be negative Nancy for half a second
Of course.
about this?
Sure.
What, Kim? Your kindness is always free.
It is always free. However, I personally, I just think it's too little too late. I'm just saying, first of all, they announced this to the drivers a couple of months ago. Like we covered this, I think, like a couple of weeks ago when they announced it to the drivers. So we kind of knew this was already coming or had already taken effect. But, and I think I said this before, I'll say it again. If a customer is not going to tip, they're meaning to not going to tip, and no notification, no pop-up message is going to change their mind in tipping. I'm going to be negative when I say that.
Or they're going to tip, or they're going to see that warning and they're going to tip $1.
Yeah,
That's the problem I see, is they're going to go, fine, then I want it on time, I want it hot, I'll tip $1.
I just don't think it's going to make a difference. And maybe that's just me being pessimistic, but I just don't think if someone's meaning to not tip, they're never going to tip. Like that's just the way that they do things or the way that they feel or however they do their own tipping culture. I just don't think I would like to see the statistics from the DoorDash end, like
how much
a
it's going to
month,
increase.
2 months. And I would like to see the statistics of how many people tip after they put an announcement, because I don't think it's going to affect anything.
They'll just go over to Uber Eats.
Yeah.
So the U.S. is known as the big melting pot. What if there's a lot of people that come from non-tipping cultures that are new to the U.S. and new to some of these things? Do you think those are, potential future tippers?
No, I don't.
Well,
because if it's their culture, they're going to still stick with their culture. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know about that.
It's actually very hard
that's
to
where
switch,
the screen might come in handy, is what John just said. Because then it might be like, wait, I'm supposed to do this too?
So in Canada, we have a lot of people that come from Europe, obviously, in Quebec. And there was this one guy that I used to work with. He's like, we don't tip where we're from. And I'm like, yeah, well, here, so I tried to explain it. And he was like, oh, that's how it works. And he started to understand, like, okay, so this is like, you show your gratitude for the type of service that you're getting. But the difference is whenever he had really good service, he tipped really well. But there was one time we did not have good service and he didn't tip. And the waiter came to us and was like, sorry, you didn't tip. And he explained fully well why he did not leave a tip. So I think it can switch some people to tip in, not everybody. But I think it's also going to do what Steve was saying, where they're going to tip $1. And they'll be like, okay, I want my hot food. No, $1 is not going to help you.
I've driven some people from Europe in different places where they don't tip, but they tell me straight up, they're like, I don't normally tip in my country, but I know here we do, and we're going to leave you a good tip. And maybe that's because they're on like the upper category, not just a basic ride. But then I do get a tip like beyond what I get on a normal Lux Black trip.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't get frequent travelers that are from other countries that that I know of.
That's true.
I mean, I will say this. We've had Atlanta on a few times. The very first time we had Atlanta Delivers on, she said that, and Gig Guy Grant too, both from London or Europe, and they were, they said that, yeah, there aren't as many tips, but we do okay. I always wondered how they did okay. But the last time we had Atlanta on, she said, no, I get a lot more tips now.
I don't know.
So I don't know what changed, but even over there where they don't like that, they changed to the model of accepting it. I would go back to even some of the things Lou said, though, on that thing that we did. Because Lou made a good point about during the pandemic, everybody had stimulus money, blah, 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 blah. People got invested into these apps. It was like a luxury, but it also became like your fun thing to do to have food delivered. And now he was pointing out that these people might be in a bad habit, in a rut, and that most people probably can't afford even to get the food delivered without a tip. And they don't even know it. They're just in a bad cycle.
There's a lot of non-financially responsible people that order from these apps.
And if you remember, Cheyenne, you were in that live. Like I asked him, I said, or even like maybe people who got so not even just addicted, but got so used to the apps that maybe they're at work, they're leaving work, and they're like, I'll stop at the store, I'll get food the old way that they would do it, and I'll make dinner. And now they're like, you know what? I'm just going to call for food because why would I'm tired.
Yeah.
So again, I think there is some addiction type level. I don't know if it's addiction's the word I'm looking for, but there's something going on with these that I think that have tricked people into, some people, not all, but some people into believing they can afford these apps and they can't.
I just don't like how and it's been in almost like, I feel like every news circuit this week about this is, I just don't like how DoorDash like does press releases and they're like, we listen to the drivers and we're here to save the day with this and we're the best thing ever in life. And that's the way it comes across. And you already rolled this out a couple of months ago. It's nothing new. And I just kept saying, I'm like, I don't think this is going to help anything.
I mean, it's going to make them mad. They're going to be like, I'm not tipping. They're trying to manipulate them like they're trying to manipulate us by hiding the tip in the first place.
Yes.
Like, why is it so important to tell the customer, oh, if you don't tip, you might get cold food, when you hide like a majority of the tip in the first place, even on catering orders. I do catering orders that are $6.50 for 2.3 miles and I get paid $60 on. Like, they're going to get cold food too if people don't understand how the system works.
Very true.
Well, so what do you guys I was going to say about them rolling this out ahead of the holiday season or around the holiday season? Do you think that was any part of their plan?
I think it's a publicity move, to be honest. Uber Lyft has launched 4 times, and every time it got launched, drug bus, we're out, launched, problems in Phoenix, launched this. Now it's again, like, this product is launched 4 times and failed every time. So I think it's just about being in the news cycle.
Mm-hmm. They haven't been in the news lately. So I feel like they're like, okay, we haven't been in the news lately. What can we re-release that makes us look like the best company ever?
What can we regurgitate here that maybe they didn't notice?
Yeah.
But with Uber, I'm talking about a failed product 3 times, though. Like 3 times they removed it from the market saying this product failed kind of thing. This is not good. And then they just brought it back. It wasn't improved any of the times. It was the same thing. Like, hey, do sketchy deliveries. No. Like, take this package. No. you packed that yourself? Mm-hmm. No.
I don't want it.
Seems like the dumbest thing ever. Like, I'm not going to somebody's house and they give me some wrapped up box.
Yeah.
Take this to the post office. No, dude. I don't want to be in a federal building with an ounce of cocaine in a box. Like, I don't want to explain that and them to go, you took the $8 ride.
Why is that dog barking at my Uber package?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are
Yeah,
you
I
going to
mean-
Mexico with that thing?
I mean, I'm sure other people can think of other things too, but I can just think of all kinds of awful things you could do with Uber Connect.
Yes.
And things like that. Like with a curry, it's very hard to do that. You couldn't really, it's more businesses. But like even with a roadie, it'd be tough. But like with Uber Connect, you could just be boxing up whatever you want. I mean, that's what the original problem in the Bay Area was, that people were shipping drugs across the Bay. It was saving drug dealers from going to jail.
So glad we made it easier.
Yeah. And like for $5 too.
Always here to serve.
You know,
I think this is a perfect time to talk about another one of Uber's failings with their Uber teen going on. What's going on with that?
Oh my gosh.
my
And so
goodness.
you guys, I got to pull these up because there was more than the one story. So there's actually 3 in right now from like the last week of problems that I'm pulling it up right now. But the first one was this 13-year-old who was in who's in DC, and Uber kind of held back the statement. They didn't really want to talk about it. You could tell. And you could tell it was an Uber teen ride because they had a last known location, which was an intersection, and that he was in an Uber. So he's in the back seat. Even this is Washington, D.C. Even games wouldn't, or the video cams wouldn't have caught the person in the back. So somebody was following him on the app. Because on the teen, I know Tony and me, we haven't used it, but I know how it works. The parents are able to see where the cars are, such and such. At some point, it cut off at this intersection. So my thought is they're not releasing all the details. They threw the phone out at that intersection, is my guess, is what we're going to hear. And Uber's doing everything they can to bury this. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want this getting out at all, because this is a 13-year-old kid who was in an Uber. That part's all admitted, and he was unaccompanied. And the last known location was an intersection, and they can't find the kid. He's gone. So the other thing that happened was that, see if I can find it, in a Lyft. Now this one's a little weirder, because this one maybe you'll see it a little differently. I don't, because it's still, even though it's only 1 year, she was 17 years old. So, and this is in New Jersey, by the way, Kim. So there's a New Jersey Lyft driver that was killed, and a teenage passenger is in the ICU critical care, who was the passenger, 17, unaccompanied by him. Again, people might say, but she was 17. Well, that still falls into the teen.
Still minor.
Very much.
So my point is that, like, so she's in this ride, and so state police say that a New Jersey driver was killed and a teen critically injured in a crash on Monday. Police say that Junior Brito, 36 years old, of North Brunswick, was working as a Lyft driver. They say he was driving northbound on Route 100 in the southbound lanes and was struck by a sanitation truck. Killed him immediately, and the 17-year-old is in critical condition in the ICU. And then there was another story too.
I just real quick, I heard about that. I just didn't realize that it was an Uber Eats driver.
No, it was a Lyft driver.
I mean, a Lyft driver. I didn't realize it was, involved in that, but I heard about the crash. I actually know where that is.
Okay, so you knew that. And then the last one is just another. So this is just another weird story. So this is from Penn Hills, Pennsylvania. So police are searching for an Uber driver who they say showed nude pictures of himself to a 16-year-old girl that he was driving alone in the car.
Ew.
What?
You guys, that was on Halloween night. This is all in the last 4 days. These incidents that I just talked about are all in the last 4 days.
That is
I mean, that's
scary.
3 incidents. There's probably even more, but that's 3 in the last 4 days. I mean, on this panel alone, we said Uber Teen's not only going to be a fail, it's going to be a disaster and a nightmare, and people should not use it. This thing's dangerous.
Very.
And I mean, if this isn't proof, I don't know how much more they're going to wait for.
That is crazy.
We got a missing kid. We got one that might not survive, and we got We got a 16-year-old girl who a guy showed a picture.
It's been traumatized for the rest of her life.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
to be
gotta get
honest,
down.
she's the way I see it too. She's lucky she got out of the car. I mean, that to be honest, that's a weird mindset for the driver to go, hey, look, check this out, and kind of force feed her some pictures kind of thing, and then still take her where she's going and let her out. Like, are you?
That could have been completely different.
I mean, that shows like how bad these checks are too, that a driver is on the road doing this stuff. I mean, not that you could see through everything and tell who's who kind of thing, but they need to, if they're going to, again, I think all of us here on this panel do not condone Uber Teen. It's the stupidest thing ever. Tony and I have been doing rideshare for a long time. We know that the one thing, everything's changed on rideshare, except for up until recently, unaccompanied minors on both platforms were never allowed. Never. And there's no bending room.
I think you got to get shut down sometime.
I just had a conversation with a passenger this morning about that because I had some minors try to get in my car. I can't remember the exact conversation, but in the last week, I've had at least like 10 minors I had to decline. But
does it,
who lets people?
Uber Teen?
I don't have Uber Teen enabled, so
they're just they're not even using it. They're using their
right.
parents' account like the old way.
Yeah, wow. I tell them if you want to order Uber as a teenager, you have to go through Uber Teen. I'm not taking you, and I'm not giving you your money back.
Right, and by the way, only the sketchy drivers do Uber Teen, so expect something to happen to you.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I was telling the driver. I was like, or the passenger. I'm like, I'm an Uber driver and everything, but I wouldn't put my kids in these cars with weird strangers.
No.
Like,
no,
it's hard enough, like for you to send your kids to school, and then 3 or 4 years down the road, you see like one of the teachers from your kid's school is like dating a kid or something like that, or worse, and those are teachers, and we're putting them in random Uber drivers' cars. Like, give me a break. And then Uber just activates this in cities without actually going through the proper, at least in Colorado, they should have had to go through the PUC, make people who want to take teenagers take the background test or check and the fingerprints, just like you're getting a gun or you're working in a school or a school bus driver or anything with minors.
Yeah, I had to get a fingerprint card just to do a tutoring service. And they're letting teenagers get in their car without a fingerprint card. I think a fingerprint card should be a mandatory part of that Uber Teen.
Yeah, and it's an FBI background check that you have to do when you're doing minor stuff, at least in Colorado.
That's but crazy. Still, like, ooh, the FBI. Like, I'm sorry,
but it's not a checker. It's what I'm saying is it's not a check or $10 background check.
I'm not trying to be mean, but the FBI is not like the big thing it used to be. Like, it doesn't really have this toughness, and it's going to be on top of things.
They're just the front man for the CIA.
They're just backlogged. They don't do anything.
Nowadays, you have the NSA listening to everything. So
the NSA is like the problem, but yet they don't solve any problems.
They're just there for the backlog. If you need to find something, like, oh yeah, we do have all that reported now.
Until they.
But I was watching on the Rideshare guys channel, they had an interview with, I don't remember her name, but it was the CEO of
Hop Skip Drive.
Kaboo?
Oh, Kid Caboodle or whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that. And I didn't get to finish listening to it, but she was at the part where they were talking about the background checks. And I was like, that's interesting. They use Checker, but she said that it's a more detailed background check.
Yeah, because you can pay for more.
2 background checks, not
year?
just one.
But I think you're W-2 with them too.
No, I don't know about.
Because the other one,
Drive,
you are.
I'm a contractor. I've never done a ride for them,
really?
But I have them in my back pocket in case I need it.
I feel, was it Hop Skip Drive? What was the geriatrics one? Was it Hop Skip Drive doing that too?
Drive is their app is called Care for the driver app, because you can end up taking.
I was thinking
people
about
that are older as well, but it's mostly.
I'm going back a few years too, Tony, but I'm trying to remember what it was. There was one that had you go pick up like hearing impaired and like other things, and it would give you like a warning, like you're gonna have to go up to the door and get these people because
Yeah, they might have went out of business because now I get a text message from Lyft and Uber, and Lyft even has an option to opt in for doing those kinds of trips, but they still send them to me anyways, and then I just unassign them because I'm not dealing with that.
Right.
I don't have a problem taking people that are at the retirement communities or whatever. But when they send me a text saying this, and this, I'm like, there's an option that people can opt in for that, and you're paying them extra. You're sending it to me without the extra pay. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
They're on a fixed income, man.
But
Come
I
on,
will
how
do it if the third party, because the third party will do. Basically, I won't give away the secret on that, but
don't.
I've had them on other categories than Lyft Basic. We'll just say that.
So Big Carl makes a point here. So I would absolutely not put my child or teenager in a car with an absolute stranger. I was on a mommy group like thread, and they were talking about, it wasn't with Uber specifically, but it was more with sending your children in a vehicle, some type of rideshare thing. And a lot of the parents were okay with it. And they're like, well, yeah, it makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
when I need to send my children to school, or when they're coming home from school, or when they have an extracurricular activity. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
I see these kids walking home from school. No, like they're by themselves. I'm like, what in the, are you crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I watched some Criminal Minds and all these kinds of things, and I'm a little paranoid, but I would rather be paranoid and keep my kids than have them be on the Walmart wall and never to be found again.
Agreed.
Definitely.
There's too many crazy people out there, especially with
And
all
now,
the
and
human
with Sound of
trafficking
Freedom,
out
that
there.
movie coming out, like it's alive, active, and it's more dangerous than ever before because of the internet.
It's crazy.
It's true.
And then shout out to Thomas there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying
Thank you,
too.
Thomas.
And then I saw Derek saying, Thomas is paying you, Steve. Thomas isn't supposed to pay me. I'm supposed to pay him.
he's paying Max the extra sock.
Right. Thomas just got Max a stocking stuffer to make up for the gifts he lost from Thomas not emailing me so I can send him money. Does that make sense? Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started of things. I'm sure Tony's the same. Not a lot, but I've had some issues about cleanups in the car back in the day. And I make good decisions about the passengers I pick up, but I've still had some scenarios.
Yeah, I've never had to clean anything up other than some coffee.
Have you ever had to grab somebody and throw them out?
No, but I did. When I get to my topic, I'll talk about that. Just remind me.
Speaking of topics, Tim or Kim has this. I was surprised too because I saw it yesterday on the United Nations UN.org, a website that normally has no gig talk at all, none.
No, that's why. Like when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is serious. And bear with me because I actually wrote a lot of notes because it's very detailed on what they did. So the United Nations itself is calling out Amazon, DoorDash, and Walmart, and I'm gonna quote, tipping workers in poverty. So Oliver D. Shutter, if I said that right, is an appointed independent expert for the UN on extreme poverty and human rights. He wrote the CEOs of Amazon, DoorDash, and Walmart requesting responses to reports of inadequate pay, aggressive union busting tactics, and misclassification of workers as independent contractors, depriving them of traditional employee benefits, especially minimum wage, which makes people in a lot of these companies going into poverty. So he was disturbed that workers in the most profitable companies, the top 3, and the richest places on earth, which is the United States, are not paying workers and they're struggling to even pay their rent. He then states that being a non-standard employment contract is in some cases the cause of work poverty. And then he asked for replies within 60 days, and only Amazon replied, but the reply did not fully address any of the concerns that this gentleman wrote all three companies. And he said that it's time for these corporations and the US government to be held accountable to get a lot of these workers out of poverty.
And these are signs of legislation, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. If you haven't believed things till now, we've produced evidence, we've produced articles, and I'm not just talking about from Daily Dot, real articles, real people reporting on this.
I got some commentary.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying these are real, and legislation is real. It is coming. I've seen a lot of the written legislation. Some of it isn't going to pass, some of it is, some of it'll be tweaked out, but it's coming. It is coming.
I got one thing to say here.
Go for it.
The UN, this is the United States of America. We don't take orders from you, so back down.
No, but we can follow a trend from the UN, though.
Right, but the UN should not be investigating our country. Like the UN, we run you, not the other way around. If the US left the UN, where would it be?
Well,
that's all I got.
Same thing with if the US left anything.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, if the
and
US
we should
leaves,
take out.
If the
we
US
should
leaves
back out of the
NATO,
UN.
where would they be? If the US leaves, like, dude, it's really like any group like that. Without us, that group falls.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but they're trying to rule the world, the United Nations, and they can just back up out of the US.
But for a funny
but there's
moment,
still some takeaways from this article.
I don't disagree that people are underpaid, but you know,
just real quick, couldn't you see the CEOs just getting this email or letter and either
they
throwing it in the garbage or like delete? And it's like, whatever.
They got that letter and they're like, it didn't even make it to the CEO.
No, they're like, who is this?
My guess is my guess is no CEO, if they did see it, responded to this at all. You wouldn't want to touch this one.
Jeff Bezos responded to the UN. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, even if they were saying we must hear back from you, they're not going to respond back to the UN on an article like this.
No,
it's way too scathing. And it usually those type of articles from the UN point out other countries and how they're falling short of like the United States or other countries. And so this one isn't doing this. This one's saying, hey, you guys are just as bad.
Maybe they should have addressed the fact that some of the nations in the UN are sending people over here undocumented. So,
don't even get me started, man.
I say that's a slippery slope for you right there.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're on these apps, and these apps are letting them be on them without and we can't be on the apps. There's people being deactivated.
Yeah, I mean, still, I was talking about I can't remember when it was. I think maybe it was on the podcast this week, on the audio podcast, but still in the top, it's not the top one right now, but for the last 3 weeks, and it's still in the top 5. And it might be like 3 or something on the website, is an article that I posted in March 2019, about being an illegal and using Uber Eats accounts. It is now for almost a month. It's been in the top 5. Most of that month, it's been the top 1 article search, and I post there daily. Normally, the daily posts are the top articles read, but right now, one of the top ones, and it was number 1 for a while, is that article from 2019. It's getting more views now than then, and I don't think that can tell the whole story, but it definitely provides a piece, because that's being Google searched out. And I mean, I'm seeing like the number of hits I'm seeing are big. It's a lot of hits on this page, where this page had been kind of dormant for years.
But it's scary, though, that it's not just Uber anymore. Like almost every gig app has this problem, and they're not doing anything about it. But they have, the thing is, they have the technology to stop it. They're not doing anything to stop it. And I think that's what's frustrating a lot of drivers that are out there, because we're not getting the orders. There are other people getting the orders that shouldn't even be on these platforms.
Well, these people are in W-2s as well, because I was in a hiring position in several companies. And even though you do the little form, you have to go online and do the form that they're able to work in the US or whatever, and they fill that information out. I've had people in several different companies get removed on the site. Just been working there for 2-3 years. Just, oh, they're not here no more because they just got walked out.
Yeah.
Really? After going through the whole process and everything
Because
passed?
they had fake documents.
Oh.
And then there's also the people who have a real account, and I'm not even talking about black market selling. There's the people who have real accounts and rent cars, not Teslas like Tony, but they rent like the normal cars to do gig work in. And they literally have 3 people who all work 8-hour shifts and keep it going 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
But they
just,
do it
list
under
crap.
one single account. So
Yeah.
that car is the marked one.
Hmm.
So I mean, like that's going on too, and I'm there's not like 3 or 4 of these going on. They're going on like all over the place.
I mean, that's not to mention like how many customers are just put in danger by the fact that, I mean, who knows who's bringing what to you and who knows who's in their car.
Yeah.
Look, I think Tony and I can both speak to this one on because I'm going to relate it to Rideshare. I've said this before, but back in the day, I made a lot more money with Rideshare than you can now. So did Tony. I used to put a lot of pride into my car. I cleaned it every night. I filled it up with gas every night. I had a subscription to the car wash, so I could get a car wash every day. I'd get gas. I'd get my car washed. I'd vacuum out anything from the inside that needs to be so that the next morning it was completely ready and shiny. That doesn't happen anymore. I've been in some Ubers. People, if you get an Uber X, you are definitely getting a trash mobile for the most part. I mean, you just are. I mean, I've been stepping on people's laundry. I've smelled bad things in the car. It's just the people doing Uber X is just nasty. It's not a premium ride at all anymore. Like it kind of sucks, to be honest.
I hear even like Uber Black drivers are wearing like flip flops and stuff too. So
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and so, but my point is here is that Tony and I watched this happen. As the money went down, people stopped having water available, stopped cleaning their car as much, stopped caring as much, and that brought in a much worse element of people that are driving. So, are the markets oversaturated? Yeah, but Uber X drivers are like some of the dirtiest, nastiest people in this town, and that didn't
Except for Derek.
except for Derek, but he even said amen.
No, he said I am. It's like I'm an Uber X driver.
I think he meant amen. He's dyslexic, maybe.
Yeah, he's agreeing. That's not a question. It's an agreement with us.
We're not labeling all Uber X's because I do Uber
Right?
X.
No. But I'm saying there are a lot more. I'm not just talking about. There's a little difference. There's a lot more. There's a lot of trash on Uber now.
Yeah.
Because
people tell me all the time. Wow.
And here's my point. Of course there is, because they don't pay well. So you're going to get the lower bottom of the barrel type things. This is what is going to happen to delivery soon. So if you think that this is a great idea that you don't tip and that these companies keep lowering, guess what? We see that the orders aren't going unfulfilled. People are still taking them. They're taking awful orders. They're doing it in crappy cars. And that brings up a whole hygiene thing. Like last week we discussed, I remember asking you guys, would you deliver if you have COVID? And all of us said no. Now, clearly, all of us would say no because none of us would say yes on a live stream. But I think all of us truly would not. We would be very cautious to not go out and to make sure we're better before we do. I
stayed home for a whole 2 weeks when I did.
I don't know that every Uber X driver would do that, though. I don't believe they would anymore. And honestly, I think that was proven when that Uber Eats driver took that to that immunocompromised kid.
Oh yeah.
So
you know,
scary.
it's like they just, I think we're getting a different grade of gig workers. And it's like the companies are like, our goal is to reduce what we pay the drivers. And now it's like, okay, well, at least we got these awful drivers that will work for crap. I used to think I guess that my point is I used to think they cared about that. Like, you're an awful driver, get off the platform. Now it's like, look, if that's all we can get.
Well,
whatever.
they'll deactivate Lisa for being racist, allegedly, when she just wouldn't take a lady with a car seat.
Yeah.
Or without a car seat.
That's
but
crazy.
she got that fixed, though?
Yeah, but they still deactivate her, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they won't deactivate people that need to be deactivated.
Yeah.
And they would never deactivate a customer. And I can tell you, I've had, even in the best of days of payments, I've had customers that I should have the right to deactivate.
Yeah.
Like enough. You don't belong in these anymore. Like things happened to the extreme where I'm not saying it was just a bad ride or they were like, I mean, like bad stuff, like getting physical, touching, just things like where you're like, dude, you need to be deactivated. This is like I've said, I've literally pulled over and thrown people out of the car, physically
Well, it's because
grabbed
these
them and
companies
thrown
just
them
want to
onto the
make
ground.
money.
I mean,
The
at the end
companies
of the
just want to
day,
make money. That's why.
Well, this is another thing. So a lot of these drivers take a lot of orders that none of us would probably take. So in DoorDash's eyes, I'm getting orders delivered. They're oversaturating markets, and hey, as long as my orders are being delivered and customers are getting the food, I'm going to turn a blind eye, because the minute that I turn an eye to it, then I'm not getting orders delivered anymore, and then it's a whole business scheme altogether.
But let me ask this: how do you think? Because I know this is a topic coming up with the DoorDash slowdown. How do you think the DoorDash slowdown is impacting all of this?
So a great transition. Let's go to that.
John's
John,
like,
you're
on
full
it
of
tonight.
transitions tonight.
So the order volume, it varies. I was looking into all kinds of articles, and I wasn't looking into ones that were picking up by AP Press and just regurgitated. But to be honest, so it's somewhere between 18 to 26%. I know that's a big gap, but that's the difference numbers they're using for how much the order volume is down. So let's call it 20. Now, Uber or DoorDash is trying to make up some of that by increasing fees to the customer. And then therefore they're trying to present it when the earnings call comes back to the investors as we're not down 20%, we're only down 14 because look at our numbers. And then the numbers are going to be more, but the order volume is truly down. So if the order volume's down, you have illegals working on the platform, you have oversaturation in every single market in the United States, you have people quitting their W-2s, you have people coming to the gig economy. What do we expect? We have like triple to quadruple oversaturation in every market, and there aren't as many orders coming through. So what are you expecting? I guess that's my point. Like if you're expecting some like, it'll get better tomorrow, like hopefully it gets better, but start diversifying. We say it all the time, but diversify away from the giants. I don't see that they'll ever get it together. No. Because they've gone so far down the rabbit hole of how cheap can we be that it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, the giants, the way that they have to make money is by volume. They have to get the most orders delivered at the cheapest price possible. And it's a race to the bottom.
Right. Well, and productivity doesn't matter to them necessarily, like if you were their employee. So as long as you pick it up and drop it off, they get paid.
True.
Yeah. And the other thing too, like I don't even have it on this for tonight, but before we move into these other two things too, because look, that volume is not a little amount. With the amount of DoorDash orders in this country, if we're talking 15 to 20% down even.
That's a lot.
That's a huge amount.
And
of course, guys, look it's not just gig economy workers suffering. The whole economy is. I mean, if you don't think so, then you live in some fantasy land that I don't know about, because in every market, people are hurting right now.
You just have to go grocery shopping.
I'm just saying, you don't even have to be a gig worker, though. You W-2, you could be getting laid off, fired. All kinds of bad things are happening to everybody. It's kind of an across the board thing. And the holidays should be really good, but are we going to see this holiday pop? And I'm not trying to put a date on it or anything, but we all know that these are usually 2 months we count on being very good.
I don't think it's going to be, because you see how it was Halloween a few days ago, and we don't go around and like pick up candy and stuff. But I heard in some of the mommy groups where the moms were saying, there's a lot of houses that, is a few candies here. Not a lot of people were given chip bags, and where normally they would have like buckets and buckets of candy for the children, it was smaller amounts because everybody out there is tight. Everyone is struggling in a sense. and just trying to make it work. So it's the same thing with the apps. It's the same thing with this holiday season that's coming up. No one's going to miraculously have money to tip during the holiday season, but they're still going to be busy. So they're still going to order. It's just, you know.
I think, and I don't know if the companies have money to do this, if the holiday season is going to be like a bunch of delivery incentives, deliver 15 orders here, get an extra $50 and those type of things going on. Because if they're not getting tips, then people are like, I can make more money doing something else, just getting another, I don't know, part-time job at the warehouse. I mean,
yeah, I'm going to protest these incentives. I'm going to make money without incentives because I hate the incentives. They should be paying us the money that it's worth to begin with instead of putting that carrot out just out of reach, or that you have to work like 100 hours to do it. And then, especially considering these are allegedly side gigs, right?
Yes.
It's all the gamification of the industry. That's what it is.
Right. Well, and then I think a little bit of like what you were saying is that the people weren't giving out candy and stuff. Well, I think here in the US, even like Halloween is getting canceled anyways, you know? So
Cancel culture.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Why are they canceling it?
Well,
They're canceling everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a
soon they're going to
political
cancel
thing.
Tony's beard. He's going to have to shave it.
By me, though,
It's a
it's all about now trunk or treats. It's not about trick or treating. It literally,
like
my
dressing
area
up. Schools didn't even have Halloween in some schools. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
what's
nice.
trunk or treat? Because I thought when you were texting me about that, Kim, I thought that meant like you were drinking it.
No, trunk or treat.
That sounds more fun though.
I
That
That's a
sounds
trust,
like a
whole
lot more
different kind of
fun.
thing.
I trust trunk or
Not
treat
with children.
because it's usually at like a church or
Yeah.
something, and you know these people. They're part of your like communities and stuff, and you're not having to walk the kids across like the whole neighborhood, and
No,
it's
it's
just like car to car to car in a parking lot, and they have
Yeah.
little games and stuff.
Yeah, mine were fantastic. One was by the school, and it literally was a whole bunch of cars lined up, and each car decorated their own car, and you just go car to car to car, and they had the good candy. My daughter came home with like buckets of candy just from doing trunk or treat. So when it came to Halloween, she already had kind of all the candy she needed. So it's a lot more controlled and trusting environment opposed to going to random people's houses.
That's actually a better idea. It's not a dice roll. It's like I know I'm going to get candy everywhere I go, and I'm not putting myself in danger or putting my kids in danger. So
Or they're not getting run over by cars and these Uber drivers that suck.
Yeah. That too.
Yeah, no, we've done it the past 2 years, and one was at a church. We did one at a church both years. We did the school 2 years in a row. It's very well organized, and it's a lot more safer. At least in my opinion, it's safer, and it's fun. It's fun to see everybody's cars decorated, and they have a contest for cars. Who had the best car? It's fun.
Yeah, there's
trunk or treat.
There's
I wish
some
it
of
was
the
drunk or treat.
This Saturday
I thought
night.
drunk or treat sounded fun. I thought like you get drunk, drive around, just throw candy at kids. I don't
No,
know.
I said trunk or treat, not drunk or treat.
Well, in some of the YouTubers I follow in the Tesla community, they had like frunk or treat because
The hell's that?
you know they got the front trunk frunk.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah,
hey kid,
it was
get in
fun.
my trunk. In my front.
That doesn't sound good.
I'll take you to the candy. Get in.
Do the
A
light
whole
show
different
for him.
story.
You can customize the light show to custom music and everything. So
Oh my goodness.
So I'm gonna, before we move to these last two stories, I real quickly do want to mention something about Lyft, and it's real quick, but Lyft is having a major problem right now. Lyft is like all the people want to sell. Everybody wants to sell. I was reading a thing that said if you compound your losses on Lyft year to year, you're down 36% right now. So if you had $1 million in Lyft, you now have 640,000. They're under $1 billion of operating cap. I don't know how they're going to make it to next summer.
yeah, well, Lyft they kept on throwing up surges on Saturday, during the snow, and I had Lux Black on, and they would not attach the surge to my account. Yeah, I was like going through. I would get it, but then like it would be an hour later before they would attach a new one. I'm like, I called support and they're like, we'll escalate this. I'm like, that's not going to work. I need you to fix it immediately because the demand is going to be gone by the time that you get it fixed with an escalation. Like,
see, I'm glad to see like Scrabble saying that, like in her rural county, business as usual Halloween.
Yeah, she's like, try that in a small town.
Yeah.
Like,
Right, well,
next decade is going to be a back in my day thing sooner than we know it.
Back in my day, I didn't have to walk.
Dude,
uphill
if John is saying back in my day, I'm gonna be like, damn, man, he's like half my age.
We're there now, huh?
That makes me like prehistoric, dude.
This is what I'll tell this, because me and my friend were talking about the one that sent me the DoorDash story, and we were talking about somehow McDonald's, and I'm like, man, there's no dollar menu anymore. He's like, you know what you sound like, right? I was like, what? Like when your parents used to tell you when cheeseburgers used to be,
10 cents.
10 cents. I'm like, yeah, I am
Actually,
there now.
Yeah.
I remember when I had 10-cent Tuesdays on McDonald's for hamburgers, and it was like 15 cents for cheeseburgers, but you had a limit of like 10. So we had 4 kids. I have 2 brothers and a sister, so 10 burgers wasn't that much for that whole family.
So
it was cheap.
Tony will probably agree with me on this one. So Derek made a comment here about, if you guys aren't familiar with our area, Thornton is like northeast of Denver, kind of about a third of the way from Denver to Boulder. And Thornton and Arvada touch each other. And I would think that their trick-or-treating was as normal. It's a blue-collar area. Everybody trusts each other. You kind of know the people. Nobody's in mansions. It's a community that it's not ghetto at all, but it's a community that would let their kids go out. They feel
it's
like
also a community that doesn't care about cancel culture either.
Well, yeah.
That's
right. But at the same time, it's beyond cancel culture.
Like where I live, it's all the guilty people just following along with cancel culture. I'm telling you.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We had Tony knows that I have the performing arts high school is right across from my house.
Yeah.
So they had an event, so there was no trick-or-treaters around. I don't know what makes that happen, but with all the cars and everything going on, people just weren't coming down that close.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to get run over.
Yeah, so but I mean, I still felt like it was like there wasn't issues. I saw a lot of people, a lot of kids out, especially because it's a high school across the street. There was like people outside till dark, and so that was nice. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Max is beyond trick-or-treating. I don't trick-or-treat, so
you want a drunk or treat?
No, I didn't even turn on my lights that I would be doing anything. I just didn't want. I also don't want somebody giving me some lawsuit.
Right.
Like, I tripped on your stair, I'm suing you, and their kids are wanting candy. Can you give my kids some candy first, then I'm suing you? I don't know anymore. I just don't. There's
Steve's to the point where he's get off my lawn.
I just sat out there on a lawn chair with a shotgun. Just cocked it every time somebody walked up. Like, I said, "Go next door."
Oh my goodness.
Go check Karen's door.
I don't know. But so let's roll out these. We got 2 more stories. They're kind of quick, I guess, but they're worth looking into. Cheyenne has one that I think it kind of blends in with the teen rideshare issue. So maybe we're segueing again.
John, we need you to do a little segue here.
So I was going to go the other direction. We were talking about old man antics, and I think Tony had a story about an old man.
He does.
That was slick.
It's a coin toss. I don't know. What would you guys rather? First person to respond in the chat. Would you rather end with the old man story or the 12-year-old story?
The old man Uber driver story, or the what?
Or the 12-year-old admits doing something. We don't want to give it away.
Oh, okay.
It's a 12-year-old or 72.
a 12-year-old incident or a 72-year-old incident.
First person to respond in our StreamYard chat will be the determiner.
Old man.
Old
Traveler.
man.
Steve's haunted house.
Traveler said, "Old man."
See, there's
All right,
something I would never
so I
do.
go
A
first.
haunted house. Like maybe back in the day, that was something growing up in Michigan I saw. But to be honest, like, would you
Yeah,
ever have kids in your house now? Because they're going to sue
Oh my
you.
gosh, no. No.
Well, when I lived in Ohio, we had a pretty big backyard and a shed. As kids, we decorated and made our own haunted house out of everything. We just had to make sure that the yellow jackets weren't in the shed.
Well, I
Would
could
you
be
do
part of the
that
haunted
now?
house.
Yeah, that was
Like, stick your hand in this. What?
well, you're supposed to like close the door and then they get the they get the yellow jackets mad that they might die.
They can't
For
see you
sure.
then.
That's a real dead body there. It's a real haunted house now.
So I guess Tony, we're going with the old man.
All right. Well, before I get into the old man, I'll tell you the story about kicking somebody out. A couple of weeks ago, I had a passenger on Lyft Lux that I pick her up. It's like a dark parking lot in Highlands Ranch in a apartment complex. So like the light for that particular area was out. So keep that in mind because I didn't notice something at that point. But she gets into my car and I'm like, oh man, this lady is either drunk, high, or both. And not in an upper way.
Yes.
So I'm starting to drive. She's got a round trip. And I'll do the round trips because it's usually to the liquor store. The people will ask you, do you want anything? And I'll always say no. And usually when I say no, they'll give me like an equivalent tip to what the trip was in the first place. But this lady, she's like, I'm starting to drive and I have my music, or I had the radio down because I'm listening to commentary on the CU game. And so I had turned it down and she's like, do you have music? I'm like, yeah. She's all, well, can you turn it on? I'm like, well, what do you listen to? She's all, whatever you're listening to. I'm like, well, I'm listening to sports radio, so that's not music. So then I just continued driving and she's complaining about the music still. So I just go on to Apple Music on the Tesla and I select 2000s. And she's like, I thought you didn't have music. I'm like, well, you asked for music and you're complaining about it. So here's some music. So then I'm pulling up to this intersection and I got a right-hand turn on red. I clear it. I can turn right. It's still red, but I can turn right. She's like, whoa, slow down, friend. I'm like, all right, that's it. This ride's over. I then immediately take a left into the Conoco and I kicked her out.
Nice.
She's like, you're kicking me out? I'm like, yeah, I'm kicking you out. Get out. Get out of my car. And then she gets out of my car and she's got this bathrobe just like wide open and you can see her underwear.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what that's even more reason to get the heck out of my car. You're naked in my car. Get out.
Wow.
Then I called Lyft. So I wouldn't be accused of being racist or whatever, So I'm like, hey, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Whatever I just told you guys. And then Safety Line called me and I got all that reported. And then I got an email the next day that they protected my account from a bad rating.
It's so sad that you had to get. It's so sad that you had to get a jump on. Look at this This person might call racism on me, and literally, you're in the right, but you're having to say this to somebody. Like,
yeah, well,
this is a preemptive. They're going to use the racism card for a free $8 ride.
Yeah, and I literally told them that. I said I don't want to be accused of being racist or being inappropriate because she was the one that was inappropriate being naked in my car.
Yeah.
How do you leave the house? And you know, when you said that it was dark, I was like, tell me she's not naked.
Yeah, I mean,
My guess
That's what
is she was
crossed my
like
mind.
drinking, like Tony said, she was already messed up, so she was probably like looking for some fun with Tony.
no, she wasn't. I think she's an
Hey.
alcoholic.
I mean,
I think she's an alcoholic. And I even dropped off some of her neighbors the next day, and I was like, yeah, well, watch out for this lady because she's a drunk, and she was getting in my car in a bathrobe.
did you put her on Google Maps for the Uber and Lyft Google Map?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, you can mark whatever you want.
Yeah, they mark customers that way.
Yeah, just put it on there and put naked chick in robe, don't pick up.
Don't pick up here.
Yeah.
Some Uber drivers might go, wait, I want to pick her up.
Some drivers might be
Naked-
like, well, hello
naked-
there.
Naked chick in not a desirable way,
Exactly.
even if I wasn't married.
You don't want anything to do with this one.
It could be like icky naked
Yeah.
chick.
Man.
First of
Anybody
all,
who's
any
an
girl
alcoholic is
getting in
not
a-
attractive.
First of all, any girl getting in a rideshare or guy who's wearing a robe only and looking for sex potentially or something, dude, I'm not even saying because of terms of service. Don't have sex with these people. There's something
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
with them in a big way.
Run the other way. Like
Yeah.
like Joseph in the Bible, just run the other, just drop everything and run. If you're delivery, if
Seriously.
you're driving, kick them out and haul ass the other way.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
keep
mace them
going.
and then get out and throw them out.
You got to be skeptical. Why are they trying to like proposition you? You know, like, are they trying to give you some sort of STD, or are they trying to get you robbed, or, you know, like what is the intent behind this?
Where was
not
she
your
going?
day.
Where was her destination?
To a liquor store and back to the. That's why I knew she was an alcoholic. Just the way she was talking to me, like
Not his first rodeo.
And this is why I don't.
it was
do
my rideshare rodeo.
That's
All right, so my
hilarious.
story, or my topic is a 72-year-old made $80,000 in Arizona driving Uber. He put like 77,000 miles on his car doing it, and he says that he makes about $20 an hour before expenses, $20 to $22 an hour. But the article's title said that he, how he avoids. Let me just pull have it up right here. Let me just read the actual. A 72-year-old Uber driver who earned $80,000 last year explains how he avoids burnout and why it becomes harder to make money on the app. I'm assuming an AI must have wrote this article because they didn't really cover the burnout part.
Well, plus
he
every
was-
year that 82-year-old gets older, I'm sure everything becomes more difficult. I'm sorry. I just had to say it.
She wanted your beard. She can't have it.
Yeah, Tony's beard is only reserved for Lisa.
Yeah. Anyways, so the 82-year-old man basically described the scene of Uber as how our overall gig economy experience is for things getting harder. They're not giving any bonuses, or if they are, they're not as good, or they're harder to achieve. And he's just glad that he's retired and doesn't need this money. He's doing Uber because he's bored, basically. He's retired and works 55 to 60 hours of Uber a week at 82.
If he's doing 60 hours a week, are you really retired?
Yeah, that's a lot of hours.
But can you? I know
That's
this
his
is gonna
hobby,
sound-
I guess, because he gets to
Sounds
talk.
like
to
he's
people.
retired. That doesn't
No,
sound
but
retired. Sounds like he's
He's
going for full-time income.
He's
Wait, but-
either. Go ahead.
No, isn't this might be a stupid question, but you can't work full time and be on Social Security, correct?
You can. You just get your
Less
social
Social
security
Security.
gets
Less
it's like
deducted, right?
yeah, it just balances out. So
But is that if he claims it? Because like technically
basically,
he's
I'm
not an employee,
assuming
right?
either
better
he doesn't have anybody that he goes home to, grandkids or kids or wife, or him and his wife don't like each other, and he's like, I'm gonna be out here instead of in there. So, those are my two things. He's like, I'll give up my social security for peace of mind and meeting random strangers than spending time with my wife.
Or his son or daughter is a doctor and he made him sign up for these apps and he's not claiming it on his taxes.
Yeah, but I think if you start taking your social security, there's only a certain amount of money you can make before they start to like give you less of your social security.
Right. That's why I'm saying he knows his kids' social security numbers. All parents do.
Sure.
So he signed up for the apps under his son's. And he's like, I'll let him get audited out.
It'll be easier on DoorDash to do that than Uber, but
Yeah.
he must have the
Traveler
connect.
said over 65 you can work all you want. Really? That's how it works over there?
Well, you can work all you want, but I think
Right.
like
But
Tony
you
said, I
don't
think
amount
your
of money
Social
that you
Security
get-
is if you're claiming it correctly, I believe it does go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
well,
I mean, he
obviously-
put 77K on his car. His net on his taxes was probably like $3,000.
Yeah.
So it didn't affect his social security.
That's probably the trick. You probably like, no, I only really made $3,000 last year. See.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
what is the avoiding burnout?
They didn't get into it. So I'm going to give you some tips on avoiding burnout.
The article on avoiding burnout didn't even talk about burnout. It just mentioned an old man.
Yeah, the old man's not burned out because he's not going home and getting into fights at home, I guess.
So they're like, we want to write an article on being burnt out. You're 82. Let's write this. And he's like, I'm not burnt out though. And they're like, we're still going to write it.
Imagine like this guy, because he drives because he wants the social interaction. Imagine the quiet guy that just wants to sit in the car and he's like, no, I don't want to talk. Like,
You know he's in trouble with his wife is because he used a fake name. His name was Rich in the article, and they stated that they had to use a fake name so he wouldn't be identified. So,
he definitely doesn't
So
claim
his
it.
wife doesn't know how
Really?
much he makes.
yeah.
I don't think he's claiming this at all.
Rich, he's rich, 80K a year. But anyways,
Avoid burnout if you're 82 or any age.
yeah. So if you have to work, I mean, outside of the gig economy, people work a 40-hour job and then have like a 20-hour part-time job. Pretty normally, I guess, these days. But switch it up. If you're only doing one app, like you're gonna burn out on it, especially if it's rideshare because you're just in your car the whole day. So the way I do things is if I can get a curry in the morning, I can get out, get some exercise, get some fresh air, do something different, see some familiar faces, and then do the rideshare in the morning with surges and stuff so I can make good money there. And then doing food delivery at lunch. Walmart Spark, I've been turning that on a little bit now. Trying to see if there's any good shops out there. I'll do a shopping if there is, but setting up like dumpling.
Has there been one good shopping?
I've gotten a couple good shoppings, but it's not like a daily thing like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's like maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks for me in my market, but signing up for or getting your dumpling business launched, just do some, I don't know, if content creation's your thing, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, like if there's a way that you can monetize that, figure that out, like get all your income streams lined up so that if one goes down, you're not burning out yourself out working like 100 hours that you used to work 50 hours for to make the same amount of money. Or just burning out just because you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and the algorithms are just making you decline a billion things, and you don't have Maximo or DUH because you have an iPhone.
Yep.
Well, that's
the only excuse if you don't have it is because you have an iPhone.
So the only other thing I want to add to that is that, the other thing is that if you're multi-apping, but like DoorDash, let's pick on DoorDash because it's crap. So if you're using DoorDash and you're used to having it on all the time, even while you're doing other apps, but you know for a fact on weekdays, let's say from 5 to 8, you crush it. But around any other times you're like lucky to pick up a unicorn type thing. Well, then teach the app something. I mean, it's not going to change anything, but only turn on from 5 to 8 and then use your other apps on the other times. Don't even have it on. If it's throwing you just crap offers, because that could be a stress too. More apps, more offers. I know Kim's like, turn on all the apps, and so am I, but like at the same time, like there's times I don't need the other apps on.
Now, there are days and times that you know what app works during what time. Like, I'm not going to turn on, you're going to love this, Steve. I'm not going to turn on Instacart during the middle of a
Just
dinner.
stop right there. No.
During a dinner rush or a lunch rush, but I'll turn them on in the morning or even late afternoon just because I know that the orders are still coming. You just have to know what apps work best during what times. I mean, when all else fails and nothing is coming in, that's when you turn them all on and hopefully something sticks.
Yeah, I won't turn on Instacart in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lisa, I brought up something about Spark that I just forgot about. I saw 2 offers before I came home.
What?
Today. Yeah. Centennial Walmart to Grand Junction. For
just
$60.
so you guys know, that's through the entire Rocky Mountain over the Continental Divide, and it takes
4.5 hours with no traffic.
For $60?
For $60.
So 9 hours.
And you couldn't stack them both together. They want to send 2 different drivers all
it's
the
like
way
$1
from
an
Centennial.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What miles? What's the
219 miles is what the app said. And
That's insane.
they're doing a straight line.
Did you take a picture of that and community post it, man?
No, I didn't.
I've been seeing more and more and more and more Walmart offers through Rodeo, and they're just the worst. They're worse than Best Buy offers through Rodeo. Like it's like it'll say you have 15 stops, you're going to do 70 miles, and then it puts the estimated time. It'll say like 3 hours 45 minutes.
$14.
Let's call it 4, and it'll be like $34.
Oh, that's better than I was giving them credit for.
But it's not, because the miles you're putting on eats the gas, your expenses. You need to. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, I
most
thought you were
important
going to
factor
say
is your
14.
time. The most important factor is your time.
Yeah.
So I
Can't
mean,
buy back
4
time.
hours, like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, even if I had no expenses, that's not even worth it.
Right. If I was going to Grand Junction, I wouldn't have taken that Walmart Spark order for them.
No, I'd have drove it to like Idaho Springs and said,
I wouldn't
okay, where's the rest of my money, or else I'm leaving it here.
Yeah, I would have called them and told them, you know that order you're trying to send out to Grand Junction? I'm going there, but I'm not coming to you to pick that up to bring it anyways. I'm going there for nothing. I'm going there on my own.
If you guys want to see something really funny, like when Gig Geezer and I when he joins me for the live Wednesdays, because he joins me every probably third one or whatnot. He brings in his text strings with Bungie, and they are some of the funniest things you've ever read. Like Bungie will say, yeah, we're going to pay this. He's like, yeah, okay, you need 2 people to do this. It's $48 a person. I'll do it alone for $250. And then they're like responding back. He's like talking to him. He's like, Bungie is the worst piece of crap ever. And I sit here and negotiate to death with them until once out of 20, they just say fine and give it to me. And the other times I just argue with them forever.
Wow.
Like he has to have the last word. He's just so bent on this app that he's like, I am going to take this app down.
Kind of reminds me of that Impractical Jokers prank where they're like reverse auction. They're supposed to try to pay less for something, but they keep offering more. They're like, you want me to buy that for $2? How about I give you 8? No, not 8. How about 12?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's lots of ways to avoid burnout, but part of it's just knowing to cap yourself on hours and knowing even if like you feel like I can punch out 100 hours this week. I know this from the bar industry. I'd say things like that when the Rockies were in town and we had like just crazy hours. And then the next week they wouldn't be in town and I'd have still a full schedule and I'd be so zapped I couldn't really perform well. It's like, so if you're doing 100 hours, you're not going to do good the next week. And then if you do too many of those weeks anyway, back to back, to the younger people doing this, don't think this is me just being old. This will wear on you very quickly. Like even if you're younger, it doesn't matter. You will get zapped. And that's why delivery and other gig jobs are now in the top 10 most dangerous jobs in America.
Yeah, I got a buddy that bought a Tesla. He was using an Uber rental, and he didn't want to wait for a test driver one, so he bought his own Model Y. And he's like 25 years old, and he's like complaining about sciatica type feelings in his back. He just went and got it checked out and verified he doesn't have that. I'm like, bro, that's because you need to do some like deadlifts and glute exercises. You need to strengthen that back, dude. You're sitting in your car for 8 to 12 hours.
Yeah, they say sitting is the new smoking. It's just as bad for your body.
Yeah.
And in today's environment, whether even I use myself as an example all the time. I sit, work from home, and then I go sit in a car, and then I go sit and edit a video, then I go to bed. It's yeah, we got to get moving. You know, that's it'll take a toll. So.
Yeah, we have one body, we have to take care of it.
So before I did find them real quick, so I just wanted to show you guys like how bad offers can be, and then we'll go to Shania's last story here.
Shania,
so
Shania Twain.
She's got some cash. Shania Twain.
She does.
Yeah. I mean, Tony knows. I think most of you know.
Her bank account
I've actually toured with her in Europe, so
Really?
I know all about the behind the stage thing too. Like, there's a group prayer every night, and it's
she was
all
here.
These artists are different, so it's. But okay, let's look at this. So this, you guys, this is a bungee order, and you got to know it. First of all, if you're not seeing it, it's 2,400 pounds.
$50.
So
Geezer put us on this side.
Geezer has a cargo van, and it pays $48.65 per person for 2 people. So you have to have a second person too.
Oh no, that's what you have. Oh, no.
So these are the orders where he'll write them. Like on this one, he wrote them back and said, "I'll do it for $250. I don't need a second person."
Wow.
So,
I'll do it for $2,480, $1 a pound.
and then like,
How do you
but
even
see,
do it
then
for
like
250
here,
then?
if you look at some of these, like where's the one that he was like, there was one he was really stoked on. Like the bottom one isn't too bad. That one he did the 687 pounds for 9 miles for $229. But if you look at the others, they don't match up there. Like $57 for 35 pounds going, you know, whatever. Like then you start getting into other things. But I think this is the last one. So he took I mean, obviously, which one would you guys take on this?
$259 for 1 mile.
Yeah. And again, he has a cargo van,
And
so
it's 3 items.
Even though the weight is 1,234 pounds, what that actually is 3 different things. It's not 3 items. There were probably like a count of 100 items, but it was 3 different things. Like one of them was cement bags, so it was like 20 cement bags was one item. So it's more like 3 categories.
Right.
It's not 3 items. It's 3
Like
categories, and you're going to have a breakup of it. But like, that's a good pay, you know.
It is, but I wouldn't be able to do it.
No, but I mean, like, you know, look at like Tim Gigwise just got a cargo van, you know, like these are the kind of things, these are the reasons I wanted to get one, because these orders do exist in last mile.
Wow.
But you got to be picky, and you got to get on the boards, and you got to look, and you got to be on the bidding side. And so, but that's why Geezer again had last month he did $8,000 or $9,000. He said his goal for this year was $100,000. I had him on about a month ago, and I said, I think you're going to hit 118. He goes, I'm gonna be lucky to hit 100. Yep. On Wednesday, when I had him on yesterday, he said, I think I'm going to hit your number almost exactly.
Wow.
I was like, woo, called it. So,
That's amazing though.
right. But this is him. And this is him. Yes, he's still working a lot of hours, but he does like 60 to 65 hours. And he does like what I do. He gets up early and he gets on these things, and he has a cargo van. So he's working, you know, 5, sometimes maybe 6 days a week, takes a day off full. And he has better hours than a lot of gig workers do. And he's still going to clear a lot of money this year. So I guess my point is, there are some spaces that a lot of you don't you don't get into, but that's where the money is. Because the money is not DoorDash anymore, guys. I mean, I think that's clear to everybody now. That's not just some people like going, oh, DoorDash sucks. And then other people saying, no, it doesn't. I think everybody understands it's horrible now.
Well, they all suck for sure.
Right. But DoorDash was the king, and now it's losing customers. It is the most oversaturated app there is. I mean, there's not going to be any money to be made here if it keeps up like that.
Yeah.
With DoorDash anyway. I'm saying DoorDash is not on a good. It's like they didn't plan for like the peak of customers ordering ever ending. It's like they just thought, well, this will just keep going up. Really? Like from a pandemic to now, you think that's just going to go up forever? Like now here we are in a tough economy and people are like, I can't afford DoorDash. Yeah, of course. You couldn't afford it before. You just didn't notice it.
DoorDash can afford DoorDash. They have a negative net worth.
Yeah,
true.
I mean, yeah. So Cheyenne has a last story for us.
Oh, yes, that is true. I do. So my story is about a 12-year-old that admits to robbing a DC Uber Eats driver of his moped. So in DC in June of this year, the child, because this is a child, was 11 when it happened. And it was him and two of his friends. And they went and robbed a Uber Eats driver of his moped. And based on the reports, they're saying that, you know, the driver, you can hear the driver saying, no, please, I'm working. This is my vehicle for work. Like, please. And then you see the driver go like this. And the teen approached the driver while holding something in his waistband saying, if you don't stop or if you come near me, I'm going to shoot you. So this was a story. When I saw this, I'm like, my child is 11, like turning 12 next month. I can't even imagine.
So one more year and you can put him in an Uber teen.
Yeah, no. I can't even imagine that this would be something that children would be doing at that point. But then they also said that this was not his first arrest that summer. He was arrested, where is it? Because he entered a plea deal. But he was arrested for like armed robbery and something, and the case got dismissed. And a few weeks later, now he's arrested for robbery again. And he entered into a plea deal. So now what he has to do, he has an ankle monitor and he has to go to school. And they're saying at his school that, you know,
send him to school.
Yeah, exactly. They're
no way. Make him be homeschooled.
Yeah, no, he has to go to school and he has to wear his ankle monitor. And the teachers are saying that he's being very polite in school and he's paying attention and he's doing good. However, he lets the charge for his ankle monitor battery go down, so it dies. So this is what now the judges are saying. You can't let your ankle monitor die because then we can't track you. So you need to keep attending school and keep your battery charged, or else you're going to come in and then we're going to actually like continue with the charges. And I'm like, what is this world coming to?
He needs to be in jail straight up.
This is ridiculous. 2 times in one summer makes no sense. But what I wanted, like, first I was freaking out about the fact that it's a child and everything that's going on. But also the part that got me was, you know, the guy was like, please no, it's my vehicle, it's for work. Dude, if someone is trying to take your vehicle, I'm sorry, don't we all have insurance for like car theft and stuff? Like there's nothing, especially if he's holding something in his waistband. There's absolutely nothing that you should put your life at risk for something material. Like, this is completely my opinion. Obviously, everyone's going to have a different opinion, but this is what insurance is for. So if someone is coming to you to steal your vehicle or to steal your bike or to steal your moped or whatever you're using, here you go. Like, why? I don't know if I see this completely different, but why would you argue with someone that obviously is not, they're unhinged? So why go through all of that?
Because he knows he's not going to win in court. Because it's a minor. Like how?
But you
what
might
is
have,
he
but
gonna
there
get
might be
money
a
from?
gun involved in this
And,
scenario if you push
like,
it too
if-
far, and then who cares about court?
Exactly.
If it's like Colorado, I don't think you have to have, if it's a 50cc or 49cc or whatever, you don't have to have insurance on your scooter.
Oh, this was DC. I don't know how it works over
Well,
there.
but he was on the scooter robbing the other person.
With two friends.
He was
No.
on the scooter, the robber.
I thought the driver was getting robbed of his moped.
He was getting robbed of his moped.
Oh, I thought the moped person was robbing the car.
No, he was
Okay.
getting robbed of his moped.
Yeah,
Okay.
so his vehicle
they
for
took it
work
and
was
left.
the moped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a moped, that's like a pedal bike.
Yeah.
Like a
But if
pedal
you're in a
motorcycle.
car, you better make sure that if you're getting robbed, yeah, give them what they want, but get your phone because
Yeah.
you better delete the app the minute you get robbed, because otherwise that'll be sent through to your insurance. And unless you're carrying the right insurance, you won't be covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he had insurance on a moped.
Right. That I'm saying that you can just let go.
Right. I'm not saying he should have tried to fight these people that are threatening to shoot him, but in DC, this is just like a daily thing, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, they're at the highest level of carjackings ever, and we're not
At
even through
11?
the year.
Yeah, well, that's the same city where those teenage girls killed that guy in his
Oh.
Uber.
And that's the
Was
same
it?
city where the teen went missing on Monday.
Yeah,
And that's the same city where over 5,000 cars have been carjacked this
and
year
that's the
alone.
same city where all our politicians are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Politicians have had their carjacked. There's two. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I've seen this.
Yeah, there. See, Nova Hustle.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nova.
Oh,
Nova would know.
Be careful out there, Nova. You don't want to get robbed by an 11-year-old, dude. On your
Dude, if Nova got robbed by an 11-year-old, I'd be shocked.
on Empower.
I don't think he'd
know,
beat
right?
the kid up, but I feel like he'd laugh at him and be like, "Beat it, kid."
Do it.
He pulls out his boomstick.
Smack him upside his head. What are you doing?
He's like, my pew pew's better.
It's just scary out there. So we
It's even
especially
worse
now
when it's a
with-
kid, because like, what as an adult, you're like, I'm gonna beat up a kid. Like,
that's the thing. You're like, it's a child. Like you already, if you see a child coming towards you, you're not gonna really pay them any attention because you're like, oh, it's a child, whatever. But then they go and do this, and you're like, wait, what just happened here? You can be my child. Like, how is this happening? But we just got to keep our head on a swivel because it's getting dark now, very early, and there's crazy people out there.
I'm surprised they're letting. With Tony. I'm surprised they're letting the kid with an anklet go to school.
yeah, if my
mean,
kids
what's
were in
the-
that school, even though we homeschool, I would be pulling them out. Like,
Right,
you're
but
having
also isn't that a
criminal in this
bad
school?
sign for kids at the school? Like, dude, if you go rob
If you
somebody, you get one of
armed
these
rob
anklets, and then you
somebody-
can just let the battery die and get out of school.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, if we're talking about DC, I doubt he's probably the only kid in the school with ankle monitor. Sad to say.
Yeah.
You're maybe right.
Nova
You
would
are
bust out
maybe
some
right.
WWE moves.
Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh, and he also has to enter a diversion program for 6 to 9 months.
So
What's that gonna do?
That'll burn him
nothing.
for 6 to 9 months.
let him meet
That'll-
other criminals that he can get in a gang with.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him in solitary confinement.
That's like intro to
Sit
gang
in the corner.
101.
Let him know, let him think about his wrongs.
It's so crazy.
Right here, meet like-minded individuals.
Jesus.
I just find it so funny when they're like, "Oh, he's doing great in school, but yet he lets his ankle monitor battery go dead." Like, what?
Yeah, that's because he threatened to go kill his teacher's family. They're like, yeah, he's doing
I
great.
mean, just to put this into perspective, though, like this is one story, but the one Tony brought up before we get out of here, I got to say this. The one Tony brought up is very disturbing. These girls like tried to kill did kill the guy.
yeah.
I mean, they were like, he was hanging on and they were running him against walls and signs and things. And I mean, they really messed this guy up. Not only did they kill him, obviously he's messed up, but like,
Didn't you do a follow-up on that and they got off pretty easy?
Yeah, of course. They were, I can't remember their ages, but that's what the ages is what
12,
got them
13
off.
years old.
Yeah. By that age, they were like, oh, we're not going to be in trouble.
Manslaughter. Like, that should be tried as an adult.
I mean, look at guys, like, I don't think that we're all in the dark about this. That's why part of Chicago's biggest part of the problem is that gang members use minors to do the big crimes because they can't go to jail they'll go to juvie. So they, like they all the time are like, there should be an app for that. Let minors do my dirty work, like, and then
the minor app, not coal miner, but
right. I mean, I don't know. I
call it Minor Connect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No background checks required.
Right. Yeah.
Juvie Connect.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah. On the weekends, it's surging.
Yeah. Weekend at nighttime.
Right. Weekend at nights, it's surging. It's got a multiplier. Like 6 times to go commit a felony down here. Like, woo!
Would they have streaks?
I'm going to the hot zone.
We're paying a rank up in this clan with a stolen moped. You bring me a moped, you get ranked up. You're a commander now.
It's so crazy.
But you guys, so I'll do this real quick. So Kim's side money plan, she has videos dropping every day. She does Money Hungry every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. She drops amazing videos. She does, what else do you do, Kim? You do other things too.
I'm like,
She does.
I mean, I guess.
catering.
Well, I mean, part of it's the fact that we can't talk about something. She has other YouTube channels. She does delivery. She's a, like, what I really like. Have as many streams of income coming in as you can.
Yeah.
Find new ones.
On.
Step outside of your comfort zone. Find new ways to earn.
Yeah, I think I'm up to 16 apps at this point. So
wow.
Just go have multiple stuff coming in. That's the only thing I can say. Even not just, apps like if you're crafty, get onto Etsy. If you're YouTube, want to create videos, do YouTube. Like there's so many different ways to make money out there. Just have multiple streams of income.
Just don't steal mopeds.
Don't steal mopeds and don't be a minor doing it.
And John, what do you got going on? Hopefully, I'm hoping John has some shipped content coming. I really am, because I'm hoping to see if I even want to re-onboard or try with shipped.
You just dropped some.
So yeah, I dropped.
I mean, as the holidays approach more, though, even like if it really ramps up a bit for him.
So yeah, today I did. Well, I have the ship video, but coming up. But yeah, just today I've been doing ship. Did one order today, bigger than I've ever seen on Spark for a long time, but a $40 order. They always come through at $6 or $7, and so it's a dice roll. But I'm trying to get down to a science of being able to accurately predict which orders tip. But another video I do have coming up is about how to get guaranteed tips on ship. So there is a way essentially to get make sure that $6 order does not stay a $6 order. So yeah, that's coming out when I flesh that out. And then I got a Walmart Spark video coming up, kind of going into the sinister implication of the bot problem. So,
which is a huge problem. We've been talking to people all. I mean, that
Walmart Sparks app is so freaking annoying. It's like every 10 seconds, it's sending you the same orders over and over and over, and they all suck because the bots took the good ones.
Yeah, it's look at. I was talking to Kim and asked her if this would be a good idea. And for this one, maybe we'll just invite everybody to come on. But like the week before Christmas and New Year's, which is 2 weeks in a row, I told Kim, let's do a 3 best and 3 worst gigs apps of the year. So maybe we'll invite everybody who's been on the roundtable if they want to come on and let's talk about this, because I think we'd see a lot of differences in markets. And I think we'd hear some really hilarious stories. And I think we'd have some good conversation too, like, oh, I love Spark sucks, man.
Yeah.
To kind of, I guess it would showcase market to market is my point. Because if somebody gets on here like random Ryan and starts bragging about Instacart, I'm gonna just go nuts on him and be like, stop talking. You're talking about Austin, not Instacart. Austin's the only market that Instacart's good in, so shut up.
I don't know. Lou and Mary's market's pretty darn good with Instacart. So
honestly,
Yeah,
Lou
but
and
they're
Mary.
they're moving over more to doing more shipped.
Yeah. Every time
So
you guys talk about Lou and Mary, I'm like, just remember when I was talking to Lisa about one of their videos and I called them Larry and Moo.
and then Cheyenne, I've seen you dropping videos. So are you doing any other lives or any video? Do videos drop on a certain day? Is there things
Yeah,
people
no.
should know about your channel?
No, they don't drop on a specific day. It's really based on when I can get them out, mixed with all the other things that I have going on as well. Kind of like Kim, I have a lot of different, ventures going on. And but I do have one that I'm editing right now. Hopefully I'll get it out within the next few days. And no lives planned yet, but I will be doing a live this month. That's for sure. Because that was fun.
Yeah, I was in Walmart picking up some water for my Uber Black customers. No, just for me. I'm like watching her video and she's in a tank top and it's snowing in Denver. I'm like, dang, it's warm in Canada. We got snow over here.
I'm like,
and northeastern Canada. Like what
it's
should be the
cold now.
coldest.
It's cold now. It's definitely cold now.
Like, I'm
but
gonna
that was just that one order. I was hot because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I do an Instacart order, especially at Costco, like I get hot. So when I got in the car, I took off the sweater and I just had on like my workout shirt. So yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, dang, I need to be a winter snowbird for going north, I guess.
Not at all. We go down south.
So Tony, and what do you have going on?
So I've got some stuff filmed. I've got to gather up the content. I'm going to be like a week behind things, but working on the full self-driving out of debt series, and definitely got to get a good process going for that. But that's coming out hopefully next week. I'll have enough edited and ready to just schedule for release, and that way I can edit 1 week in advance, I guess. And then we got the Driven family in the chat there. Her channel's growing pretty good. So if you are interested in non-gig content but still want to see the Drivens, head over there.
Yeah. And also, if you guys haven't subscribed to all these channels up here, make sure you do. I mean, I think that most of the regulars who are here every week do, but if you're listening in or you're here on the replay, make sure you subscribe to all these channels. They're all good channels. And so until next week, you guys, stay safe, earn smart. I say that all the time, but I mean it more now than ever. Earn smart. Don't just be on DoorDash to be on DoorDash waiting for it to turn around, or other apps. Don't. Get on other apps and start really, even if you've never really tried them, but you're on them, use them, try them, see what they do, because they can't do much worse than DoorDash for you. I mean, if there's any volume at all, you're going to make more money. I don't know. I mean, I can tell you in my 3 worst, that when we have that right now, I think it's Rodeo, DoorDash, and Spark.
I think you're the only person.
What up, Gary? It's because
Gary.
It's because I did an advertisement for you, a personal one. The only reason why you shouldn't have the Maximo and DUH app is because you don't have an Android.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it at the 75 minutes, Gary, but without you here, it's kind of impossible. So why don't you get moved and out of that Airbnb,
as you guys
man?
are coming out.
But good night, everybody, and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.
Good night.